Good afternoon, all. I am Krishna Mukherjee from ETH. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to the Economic Times live webinar, Accelerating Your Journey to Cloud with IBM Cloud PAKs, powered by IBM. This webinar is brought to you by the Economic Times Edge, powered by IBM. Thank you all for joining us in the middle of a week when I'm sure you are loaded with many responsibilities. Well, the topic today is very interesting. By unlocking the power of data and accelerating your journey to cloud, your business can do wonders. Here we will learn about IBM Cloud Paks, which is all about powering data driven organizations. It is a new kind of data and analytics platform with built in governance. In fact, collecting, organizing, and analyzing data is at fingertip with IBM Cloud Pak. We have Seema Kumar. She is Technical Director, Cloud and Cognitive Software, IBM India, to throw more light on IBM Cloud Pak. She will also help us know how to transform your core business applications to hybrid multi-clouds with speed, agility, and confidence. Seema is a senior technology leader and has played an instrumental role in offering roadmap and strategies to suit various local and global market demands. We are too glad to have Seema today with us. Welcome, Seema. Thank you for joining us. Before I hand it over to her, I would request you all to be please present till the end of the webinar and answer polls and feedback. Also visit webinar website for detailed terms and conditions. I would also request our attendees to put their questions over the chat window and we will address the questions during the Q&A session. Thank you. Over to you, Seema.
Thank you, Krishna. Thanks for that kind introduction. And I'm quite excited, and it is a privilege to be presenting in this forum today. And I'm happy to see that we have quite a few attendees, as you said, on a midweek evening. So let's ensure that the time that you spend here is worth your while. So as Krishna mentioned, we are going to spend the next 45 minutes or so talking about how you can really accelerate your own journeys, right, within your enterprises, within your organizations, to embrace a cloud ready architecture, and what is it that from an IBM standpoint we have been doing, working with clients, we've been offering in the market, and how we could work together. So without further ado, I'd like to get into the presentation. Okay, so digital transformation as a term is, as most of us are aware, is an often used term, and it has been there. It is a phenomenon that has been around for quite a few years now, where organizations, depending on their maturity levels, are going through various disruptive cycles, right? They're either transforming their core technology infrastructure, or transforming the way they do their business to serve their customers more effectively, customers today who are more digital savvy, digital native, ensuring that you're able to service your customers anytime, anywhere, the ability to thereby offer what you have across multiple channels. And when you look at digital transformation as a phenomenon out there, one of the key technologies that has played a very important role in this area is the cloud computing technology. The cloud computing and the phenomenon of cloud-based infrastructure has been around for maybe a little over a decade by now, and there are various reasons that organizations, CIOs, line of business leaders, data center operators, so on and so forth, are looking at embracing some form of cloud, right? And some of them include, for example, number one is to accelerate the pace of your innovation, right? So cloud gives you the flexibility and the freedom to choose any kind of software, any kind of programming language. The setup costs are close to none when you're working on a cloud-based environment, and then thereby you're able to go to market very, very, very fast. It also opens up access for more types of data analytics and AI, right? Basically unlocking the data that you have in multiple sources to really infuse AI-based capability into your application. And the third reason, of course, is to look at optimization, right? Optimizing the usage of your resources, ensuring that you're having the right model, you're using your IT resources, your IT infrastructure intelligently, and thereby improving your return on investment. So that is primarily some of the key drivers towards cloud adoption. But then when you look at it, both from a public cloud and a private cloud perspective, there are a few key things to keep in mind. If you look at the shift that has happened, so if you look at the bubble over here from traditional IT to um, public clouds and even dedicated clouds, there's roughly around 20% of the overall workload that has moved to some form of public cloud infrastructure. So this could be a combination of public cloud, some sort of a SaaS-based infrastructure, or sometimes even dedicated clouds, right? Dedicated bare metal infrastructure in a public cloud that is dedicated to your environment. The remaining set of workloads continue to stay within your premise, right? Within your underlying infrastructure, within your data center in what we call a private cloud environment. So if you look at the forecast by some of the leading analysts such as IDC and McKinsey out here, you can see that while the public cloud opportunity is around $609 billion in 2020, growing at the rate of 18%. That is a very good indicator that this is a high growth area, and more companies will be moving towards the public cloud and are considering public cloud as we speak. And on the flip side, you see that there is an over $400 billion, $438 billion opportunity and space in the private cloud space as well. So what that tells us is the bulk of the workload is still in the traditional IT is still running on premise. Not all of it has yet moved to a public cloud infrastructure. And there are a few key reasons and challenges, right? So the reality is truly that it is a hybrid normal where organizations will continue to have a combination of public and private cloud infrastructures. And they will also have multiple clouds. So multi-cloud is the new normal. So if you look at it on an average, over 94% of enterprises are using a mix of cloud models. So on average, it's like around 5 or 6 different clouds. So for example, if you're using Salesforce on an external cloud SaaS environment, that counts for one cloud environment. Similarly, you may have an HR application, you may have a AWS or a Azure or an IBM Cloud. Each of these are different cloud, multiple cloud environments, and that is the new normal. And then you have your private cloud infrastructure as well. So you will have more than one public cloud provider. And there are a few key concerns, right, in terms of embracing cloud at a 100% level, right? So some of them include the flexibility to move across clouds. So each and every public cloud would tend to have their own standards, their own monolithic infrastructures, which does not necessarily make it easy for you to lift and shift or move across different clouds. Connectivity between clouds, secure connectivity across clouds is the second primary concern. And the third concern, which is even more important, is consistency of management, right? So how do you manage environments across these multiple clouds? And these are some of the concerns that keep our CIOs, CTOs, awake in terms of how do I manage, right? How do I maintain consistency? How do I ensure there is less vendor lock-in as and when I embrace these multiple technologies across multiple clouds? And the reason that you may have multiple clouds is for valid reasons, right? Maybe one particular provider is great, has great offerings in terms of storage and capacity and speed. Another may have great offerings in terms of the SaaS offerings that they have, the PaaS offerings that they have. So you really will want to use a best of breed, at the same time ensuring that you have the kind of flexibility and limited vendor lock. So if you look at it, right, for the next 10 years, what we see is cloud native and your legacy applications will continue to coexist at least for the next 10 years. So when I say cloud native applications, these are applications that are built to, run on the cloud, built to leverage the benefits of cloud. For example, using key technologies, right? Containerizing applications, using microservices, and really leveraging the underlying environment for what it is being built, they are your cloud native applications. Your legacy applications will tend to be more written in earlier erstwhile programming languages. They could be monolith in nature and not very flexible. So one of the key pain points that customers have going back to the point of innovation is if you need to say, introduce a new capability, a new feature in a legacy application, it can take weeks and months. Whereas in the cloud native world, your life cycle is much more rapid and it's a much more agile infrastructure. So we will see this coexistence for quite some time. And if you really look at it, right, the initial journey to cloud has been initiated primarily across two key areas, right? One is the first bar over here, which is migrate. So a lot of organizations have gone ahead with a lift and shift approach, okay, wherein you're just maybe virtualizing your existing application, lifting it and shifting it as is on an external public cloud environment. The key driver over there is again primarily to lower your capex, right? You reduce your capex cost, thereby generating better ROI. One of these challenges that is unforeseen in these cases is that over time, because of the nature of the lift and shift and the fact that they are not necessarily cloud native applications, it does result in increased TCO and some bit of lock-in. If it is proprietary cloud technologies, it's not easy to again lift and shift from one cloud vendor to the other. The second key area where companies have really embraced the cloud is to innovate, where you're really building new cloud native applications, and you're really building them grounds up. So you're using container technologies, you're using open source technologies, you're leveraging all the underlying infrastructure benefits that a cloud has to offer, and thereby you're building new technologies, new capabilities at a much faster way. The challenge over there over time as it scales is in terms of integration, in terms of governance. How do you handle multiple containers? How do you handle multiple services? What is the governance model? What is the security model? So on and so forth. What we are focused on at the moment is really to help organizations in their hybrid cloud journeys to modernize what you see in the middle out there, where it is not only about modernizing your existing applications to be more cloud native using containers and microservices, but also to build them on open standards, build them on open technologies so that you do not have the kind of lock-ins that you would see in other cases. And this in turn will be the number one priority for your digital transformation to really help you through that path of your journey to cloud. The fourth one is around manage, right? How do you integrate and manage multiple clouds? And that in turn requires the right set of tools and the right set of standards so that you're able to manage workloads optimally across these multiple cloud environments. So with that, I'd like Krishna, if you could run the first poll on the sidelines while I continue with the presentation. We'd really like to hear from you in terms of what are your concerns of moving to cloud, because these are some of the things that we have observed. Will be really good to know where you see some of the barriers and blockages. Okay, so you have it out here, right? What's preventing the rapid modernization of the remaining 80%? So 80% is still stuck in traditional IT. What is preventing them? They have unique workload needs. They have to manage multiple clouds and multiple vendors. And thirdly, one of the reasons is also skills. So the cloud technologies, right? The earlier, erstwhile skills of, be it languages, be it infrastructure, be it virtualization, there is a lot of, reskilling of the workforce to be done to be, effective in in a cloud-ready infrastructure. So that is something which is also an area of concern. And I guess not able to read the poll result here, but I guess one of the top areas that's coming up in your responses is security, right? And that's something which we see as well, right? As a number one concern in terms of what happens, how secure is my data, who can see it, who can, is my data stay with me, how do we manage the data, so on and so forth, which is a valid concern. So from an IBM standpoint, we have a lot of capabilities and technologies across the board, across cloud, security, data, as well as industry expertise, and which we will talk about in the upcoming slide. So that takes us to chapter 2 of the cloud, right? So as I said, chapter 1 was a lot about lift and shift, virtualization, moving your workloads as is. Chapter 2 is where hybrid and multi-cloud capabilities become real. And that is where, from the industry standpoint, and when we look at the bulk of the customers and enterprises that we service, which is mostly in industries such as banking, manufacturing, retail, telco, so on and so forth, where there is a lot of legacy applications as well as the need to transform, need to embrace new technologies, we see that hybrid multi-cloud being a reality and helping customers through this journey. So we recently closed a very, very significant landmark acquisition. So IBM acquired Red Hat, and while the acquisition was announced last year in October, we finally did close out in July this year. And this is one of the most, it's a landmark acquisition for our organization, right, in the 100+ years that we are here, because of a few reasons, okay? And we see IBM as being one of the leading providers of solutions for the enterprise across cloud, across data, across AI, really bringing the best of technologies and marrying it with the leading open source solution vendor, which is Red Hat. Because again, going back to what I was saying earlier, we really believe that open is the way to go. And customers will have a choice of providers, but they will also require the kind of flexibility, both from, moving across environments as well as skills and so on and so forth. So this really changes the landscape for a few reasons. So if you look at what Red Hat stands for, Red Hat stands for, is really a pioneer, right, in terms of open source, and is one of the driving sources or, driving platforms from a hybrid cloud infrastructure model. Linux as an operating environment, as an operating system, is the de facto platform across enterprises. It's got large-scale adoption, broad ecosystem, and a very, very engaged developer community, which again goes back to my point in skills, right, where you have the right kind of skills in the ecosystem who can drive these changes for you. We look at the OpenShift platform coming from Red Hat as being the common platform across all environments, again based on a lot of open source standards and being cloud agnostic at the core. So together between IBM and Red Hat, when we look at our joint portfolio and the way that we want to offer our capabilities to our customers, this is a picture of what is an integrated IBM Cloud portfolio and an architecture at the core. So if you, and I would, like to go through this bottoms up, right? So at the bottom layer, right, where you have the infrastructure, we are saying that we really want to and will support any public cloud, any private cloud infrastructure out there. So you could choose to be on an IBM public cloud, an AWS cloud, Azure cloud, Google cloud, any of those public cloud vendors out there, or in your own private systems and internal hardware. The stack that is built on top of that should be easy, and it should be supported across all these infrastructure platforms. At the foundation, you have Linux as the operating system, as a core operating system, and you will have a container platform, which is powered by the Red Hat OpenShift container platform. There will be a set of common services related to logging, monitoring, security management, so on and so forth, and also capabilities to manage your multiple cloud environments, multi-clusters, your Kubernetes clusters, so on and so forth. So the foundation, as it stays here, will be led by the Red Hat OpenShift container platform built on open standards of Docker, Kubernetes, so on and so forth. And on top of that, you have the capabilities, right? So you have capabilities around applications, data, integration, management, automation, and security. So these are really the different kinds of workloads that you will have within your organizations that will run on top of a hybrid multi-cloud platform and a foundation out there. And then you have more advanced technology. So once you build a base, you have the ability to run a self-service analytics layer, an AI layer to infuse AI into your application, use technologies such as Watson to infuse AI-enabled capabilities, bring in blockchain, IoT, machine learning, so on and so forth. So all of that is built on top of that. And of course, the expertise that comes from across IBM, across strategy, migration, application development, and managing your environment. So this is really our converged view of how we look at not only our portfolio, but the way we would like to enable, advise, and help our clients through their journeys to embracing cloud, embracing AI, embracing machine learning into their environment. So we did announce soon after the Red Hat acquisition, we did announce a series of Cloud PAKs, as we call it. Okay, so and this picture really summarizes what we mean and what it is that you would see in a Cloud Pak. Okay, a Cloud Pak is nothing but a package of software which is containerized. So the software that comes within this package has been tested and certified by IBM and Red Hat to run on the Red Hat OpenShift container platform as well as on the Open Kubernetes platform. Okay, and every Cloud Pak will have a uniform structure. So what you see over here so again, right, going back to the infrastructure, it will be supported across multiple different public and private cloud environments. It will have a singular container platform, which is Red Hat OpenShift, and a set of operational services for logging, identity access management, monitoring, security, so on and so forth. And on top of that, it will have a bunch of containerized software, IBM containerized software, which will also be packaged with the relevant open source components pre-integrated to help you drive your workload requirements. So how is this different? Number one, it can run anywhere, right? So this is not dependent, or this is not restricted by the kind of platforms, the kind of operating system, or the kind of cloud environment that it can run on. It can run anywhere. It can run on-premise. It can run on a private cloud or a public cloud or on a pre-integrated system. Number two, it is certified. So IBM is investing and continues to invest, right, across the board from a development, offering management, testing standpoint in terms of certifying this. So you could say you could take a software and containerize it yourself, right? But when you're looking at enterprise grade and enterprise scale, aspects of security, aspects of compliance, aspects of compatibility across versions become very, very important. And we take each of these softwares to a rigorous certification process so that a lot of that pain point is not something that you need to be worried of as and when you embrace cloud native kind of architecture. And of course, it's completely simple. So you have the various services, very modular, easy to consume, and we will look at the different kinds of Cloud Paks that we will be offering out there. Okay, so again, right, to reiterate, a Cloud Pak helps you reduce development time by 84% and your overall expenses by up to 75%. And we will look at which ones are there. So if you look at containerizing your software on your own versus what you could do with a Cloud Pak, it largely accelerates your time to market. It's much more enterprise grade secure, and it's based on the open standards across the board. Okay, so we have announced, and we currently have 5 different Cloud Paks. The first 5 Cloud Paks have been announced, so we're still 5 packs, not yet 6 packs. But if you look at it, right, each of these are meant for certain use cases and certain different types of workloads, which I will talk about. So we have the IBM Cloud Pak for applications, Cloud Pak for data, Cloud Pak for integration, automation, and multi-cloud management. So where do you use these and which ones are relevant for you? So we look at that. So if you are looking at embracing the right set of software to build and modernize your applications, say developing cloud, this could either be modernizing existing applications or building new applications, and really delivering your applications across multiple clouds. The IBM Cloud Pak for application contains the containerized software. So, for example, if you're currently using the WebSphere suite of products, right? So the WebSphere application server, ND, Liberty, Base, any of those, or even if you have mobile applications that are using the IBM Mobile Foundation platform in the pre-cloud era, non-containerized era, and you really want to look at how do you modernize these applications, convert them to containers, create microservices out of them. The Cloud Pak for applications is one of the most interesting packs out here because it really gets you started on the application modernization journey. It also comes with a set of tools. For example, there is a Cloud Transformation Advisor, which really helps you inspect your Java J2E applications running on WebSphere or JBoss, and helps you, prioritize which ones you need to reuse, which ones you need to refactor, and which ones you really need to modernize and convert, right, to microservices and put them on. So, and this was announced as well as released, so this is available today. You should ideally consider this if you have a lot of multiple different application landscape, and it could be not only WebSphere, it could even be JBoss or Tomcat or WebLogic, any more of those. There are ways in which we can help you modernize those using the Cloud Pak for applications. The second pack over here is your Cloud Pak, the IBM Cloud Pak for data. Now, data is a much larger topic, and we could actually do an entire session just on Cloud Pak for data because this has been there. This is one of the more comprehensive products in the data and AI space. So if you look at it, right, most organizations are dealing with data across multiple sources, both internal sources, external sources, where you have the requirement to collect the data across the different sources, organize it so that it is easily accessible, it's in the format that it can be consumed, and then analyze the data. So your business analyst, your the data science engineer should be able to analyze the data and then thereby infuse it with AI. So if you're really looking at building and deploying AI-based applications, it's very, very important to ensure that your data is out there in a format that it can be consumed, it can be accessible, and really, governed so that the right data is available to the right people. So the Cloud Pak for data was earlier called IBM Cloud Private for data. We rebranded it when we announced the Cloud Paks. Is actually a bundle and a package of the various data and AI offerings in a containerized form, which helps you connect data for self-service analytics and helps you really infuse and operationalize your AI-based workload. So you would want to consider this if you are looking at solving some of the problems related to data being in silos, not accessible, not easy to analyze, not self-service for a business user, and you're really trying to unlock that, right, from a data warehouse or a data lake that you may already have or need to modernize. The Cloud Pak for data is a very, very compelling offering. And we have several customers, both in India and as well as across the globe, in areas such as banking and areas such as healthcare, who have already started using this in a very, very effective manner. And it really brings down the efforts of the data engineers and the business analysts in terms of unlocking your The third one is the IBM Cloud Pak for integration. Now, integration has been there for a while, and most of us within the large enterprises will have some form of integration, right? They're either point-to-point integration, or you may have a SOA-based architecture or an ESB layer out there. And that in turn has evolved over time, right, to where you are dealing with multiple different kinds of integration, okay? Now, and you also have the pain point or the need to integrate across environments between your private cloud and your public cloud in a secure manner. How do you integrate between your on-prem application and maybe a SaaS application out there? How do you ensure that your core functionalities that are available across your applications can be exposed as APIs, right, to external clients, to external vendors and merchants out there. So those are some of the integration use cases. And the Cloud Pak for integration, again, consists of the IBM API Connect software, the IBM App Connect software, Aspera for moving data across environments. All of this again in a well integrated bundle, and key benefits being you really will not spend the kind of time and money and effort in terms of integrating, reduce your cost by over 65% when you really look at a end-to-end integration platform for your infrastructure. And it's more of an agile integration platform where your integration engineers or integration users can quickly build these integration models in a very agile. The fourth one over here is the IBM Cloud Pak for automation. A Cloud Pak for automation, as the name suggests, is meant to reduce your manual efforts, right? Helping you automate processes, create workflow systems which intersperse manual and digital workers, and thereby reducing your manual processes by over 80%. So BPM and workflows have been around for a while, but the Cloud Pak for automation really brings it all together, giving you a digital business automation framework. It helps various users visualize and operationalize and thereby optimize their processes. Things like document content capture or document workflows, or really understanding and analyzing, bringing in AI-based model into your business process workflow. Those are some of the capabilities that are built in to the software within the Cloud Pak for app automation. So this consists of containerized middleware for FileNet, for your document management, for the business automation workflow, and a few others, and thereby improves your cloud native journey if you were to embrace this particular package. The last one, which is around the Cloud Pak for multi-cloud management, is again a little interesting because it's a little different from the other four over here and more relevant. More relevant to your IT operations, data center operations, CTO kind of an audience, right? Because when you're looking at the multi-cloud world, when on an average you're having 4 or 5 different environments, one of the biggest pain points is management, right? How do you manage deployment of your application across multiple different zones? How do you have a single pane of glass or a single control pane where you can see where your resources are being allocated, how the cost is being allocated, are you using your assets properly, so on and so forth. So today, in most cases, you will have to log into different cloud consoles, right, or different dashboards, and the analysis and the visibility is all within that silo. Whereas the Cloud Pak for multi-cloud management has a multi-cloud manager, has a dashboard, which helps to give you that single pane of glass. It's not only about visibility and monitoring, but also helping you troubleshoot, helping you deploy, upgrade, ensure that you're compliant, ensure your security posture is compliant across the board, so on and so forth. So this is again a very interesting bunch of software out there under the Cloud Pak for management, and we see this being very relevant for organizations who are dealing with hybrid multi-cloud environment. And I would like to say each of these, as I said, deserves a detailed discussion, and it would be great in your feedback, in your comments, If you see one or more of them as being more relevant to you in your particular environment, do let us know. We will be happy to do a follow-up session to take you, through that in a much more deeper sense. So today's session is more of an introductory, but each of them can be, explained in a more detailed fashion. Okay, so the five that I spoke about were all the software components, right? Now, in addition to the Cloud Pak offerings over here, we've also released the Cloud Pak systems and, capabilities on the IBM public cloud. So Cloud Pak systems are nothing but prepackaged software with hardware, right? So instead of you looking at where you get the software, you get the hardware, you need to, in your on-prem private cloud environment, you would have the efforts of the initial installation, configuration, deployment, so on and so forth. Instead, if time to market is of essence and skills are hard to find, or you really need to keep your costs low from a overall administration operation standpoint, the Cloud Pak systems are a very good alternative, right? Where you could actually have the pre-integrated hardware with one or more of these packs, right, which enables the deployment of all these container and VM-based workloads in a single system in a simplified and a scalable manner. For example, the Cloud Pak for data, the data system, has a flexible pay-as-you-go model, and instead of few days and weeks, within a few hours, you can get the entire stack up and running within the Cloud Pak for data system. So this is very highly recommended where you're really looking at accelerating your journey and accelerating your time to market over here, and where you really need to address multiple different requirements, and this can be continuously extended and upgraded depending on those requirements as well. Similarly, on the IBM public cloud, right, which is our public cloud offering, where we do have data centers across the globe, we will have, and we do have, the managed Red Hat OpenShift available on the IBM public cloud, and your Cloud Paks can run on top of the Red Hat OpenShift on the public cloud as well. Now, one of the things which I think I missed mentioning is across the 5 Cloud Paks, along with the software, you will also have the entitlement of the underlying container platform, which is Red Hat OpenShift. The Cloud Pak for application will have an unrestricted license of Red Hat OpenShift, so you can use the Red Hat OpenShift to power multiple different container workloads, and the others have a restricted license, which is meant for the container images that come within the pack only. Now, the Red Hat OpenShift on the IBM public cloud is again a secure environment, and we will have one-click deploy of all the Cloud Paks on the IBM public cloud. So, and this is not, while the OpenShift platform is available in all other public clouds as well, and you are free to choose the environment of choice. On the IBM cloud, you will have the Cloud Pak capability as well, depending on the kind of workloads that you want to run. And one of the salient features of the public cloud is that it's one of the world's leading proven managed Kubernetes environment, where we have over 14,000 Kubernetes clusters running on production as we speak. For example, the IBM Weather Company, the entire data and applications is powered by the IBM public cloud on Kubernetes on top of the container platform. So that is proof point enough in terms of the scale and the reach that we have for enterprise-grade workloads on a public cloud environment. So the public cloud, we have data centers across the world. We do have one in India as well, and we have the OpenShift container platform in India. So if there is a need to host something out of the local data center, that is possible. It is the first cloud provider to deliver from a security perspective, right, hyper data protection and our commitment to GDPR compliance. So this is something very unique that you may find on the IBM public cloud. And of course, over 60 data centers, and it's one architecture, right? So whether you're running your workload on an IBM private cloud or the public cloud, we believe on one single architecture, which I just spoke about, a few slides earlier out there. Okay, so to summarize in terms of the key principles behind our approach, there are 5 key principles. We believe in a hybrid approach where we enable enterprises to choose between public, private, and more traditional environments and have a more seamless way of working across those environments. The ability from a multi-cloud perspective, right, to manage other vendors' clouds, really looking at the reality that your environment is going to be heterogeneous. So we will have the capability to manage those multiple cloud environments. Point number 3, open, is one of the core aspects of our synergy and our strategy, right? So we are building and we continue to build capabilities that are open by nature, open by design, and thereby giving you the flexibility to choose the environment of choice and really not locking you into a single vendor environment. Security is at the core of everything that we do. So it's a security first approach where we provide continuous reliability and security for the client's environment, be it on the public cloud or on the private cloud, with an end-to-end AI-driven infrastructure out there. And finally, management, right, where consistent level of logging, support, management, and delivery across your complete environment. So these are the underpinnings of our underlying cloud approach. And as IBM, we give you the full spectrum, right? So whether it is the early advisory services where we need to, have our services team, our GBS, Global Business Services, or a global technology services team help you in terms of from an advisory and a consultancy approach, right? In terms of what architecture to follow, what tools to use, how do you define your migration strategy, so on and so forth. So that so we have a set of advice on cloud services. And then you really look at, building for cloud and moving to cloud. So whether you're trying to move existing workloads to the cloud, you need migration related capabilities, or you're looking at building net new applications, right? So we have capabilities, we have services offerings that will help you across the board, and then thereby manage and govern. So once you move to the cloud, giving you the management and the governance and the optimization services, thereby making it a continuous journey of migrate, modernize, innovate, and manage across your environment. So this is a proven technology and methodology with several large marquee clients across the world who use these services. Okay, some examples before we open up to questions in a few minutes. So this is just a small set, right? We work with several large customers, but these are in particular some of the very large scale transformation exercises that we've done, right? For example, American Airlines, one of the largest airline and travel companies in the United States, started with an initial journey to the cloud where they virtualized and shifted the initial VMware applications to the cloud, and they did that in 4 months. And they really wanted the flexibility of switching, right, from the on-prem to the cloud during their peak load, right, during their high peak load environment. And because of this flexibility, they were able to release applications, your rebooking application. When you quickly need to rebook, they were able to release that in a very short time frame during the hurricane season, and dramatically changing the customer experience. Because at the end of the day, it's all about customer experience. How quickly are you able to react to external forces? How quickly are you able to offer the right kind of services to your end clients? Similarly, Westpac is again a large banking, customer where they've started modernizing their application, right? So right from the core banking to the digital banking applications, modernizing them to be cloud native, thereby being, not just much more efficient, but really doing it with 1/3 the cost, right? So using their resources optimally, breaking the monolith, having more microservices, so on and so forth. Similarly, Bradesco and then Hertz, which is using really IBM services to manage multiple clouds. So they have both IBM and AWS environments. They're using our capabilities to handle their multiple cloud environments. So again, to summarize, we leverage our existing middleware investments in terms of assets, skills, and licenses. So you really do not need to throw away what you're already having, right? So if you have an existing middleware out there, We will help you modernize using the kind of tools and technologies that we have, thereby giving you that flexibility on your investment. And finally, really helping you future-proof. And that's the most important thing, right? Because technology and standards are ever evolving. Every day there is a new standard, a new open source technology that is, emerging out there. And the investment that we are making across our development and offering landscape is to continuously embrace the relevant technologies, and then thereby offering it to you so that you have the choice, right? And you're not really stuck to what one vendor is offering you on their platform only. We have a very interesting, exercise that we do, which is the IBM Garage, which is a IBM-led design thinking methodology, right? So where we look at, certain projects where customers are trying to transform, they're trying to do multiple different things. We use the IBM Garage team, and where we come in, use design thinking based approaches to really co-create, co-innovate, and over a span of anywhere between 2 to 4 to 6 weeks, depending on the complexity of the project, we come up with initial MVPs and initial blueprint that helps you, through your cloud journey. So whether it is trying to do application modernization, data modernization, implementing an AI platform, one or more of those, right? The IBM Garage method is a proven method where IBMers sit along with the business users and the technology users at the customer and help come up with these MVPs in a few weeks' time. And then that basically becomes your, because this involves a lot of change, right? It's not only about embracing technology, it's also about people, because the way that you do your releases, the way that you do the kind of skills that your IT team needs to have, the way that you govern changes, all of that will require some change. And this exercise sort of helps you baseline at a basic level and then helps you take that forward in a scalable model. So I would strongly encourage you to look at each one of these. There are links that I will add to this chart. You could try out an IBM Cloud account. There is a free account which gives you access to the infrastructure, the PaaS services, the Watson services, so on and so forth. We will play a short video which introduces you to the Cloud Paks, and there are a bunch of demos out there. And do engage with us on the IBM Cloud Garage as well. So if I could ask the team to play the video, the Cloud Pak video, please. So thanks for running that. And yeah, so to summarize, right, these were some of the key aspects in terms of how we can engage. And before we open it up for questions, I think, Krishna, we had one more poll out there which we haven't run. We could run the second poll and then we could open it up for questions.
Thank you, Seema, for that power-packed presentation. On a Wednesday afternoon, we have got over 300 participants. I think that looks really fabulous. Thank you so much. Yeah. So we have one question from Shrikant here. He wants to know that if we can provide more info about Cloud Pak for multi-cloud management, it would be really great.
Sure, we can. As I said, so I introduced today the 5 Cloud Paks. So the multi-cloud management pack has a few key components, right? It has a multi-cloud manager, it has an asset manager, it has a automation workload automation manager, so on and so forth. And it's best explained and taken through with a demonstration. So we could really do that. So if we could get in touch separately, we could organize a conversation or a session to take you through what is that. And I'll be happy to share some links and demos that are out there.
Great. So next, Ravi is asking that what's the licensing model of Red Hat OpenShift?
Yeah. Okay. So the Red Hat OpenShift. So while we have acquired Red Hat, right? Red Hat as an organization continues to operate independently, right? So there is no. It's more of a synergy rather than us bringing them out here. And what we've really done is we've embraced the Red Hat standards into our software. So if you look at it, the IBM software portfolio, which consists of our middleware, our hybrid data management, so on and so forth, the entire software products have been containerized, are being tested, certified to run on Red Hat OpenShift as a container platform. The licensing for the Red Hat container platform will run in a way where if you have an IBM Cloud Pak license, any of the 5 Cloud Paks, right? If you have an IBM Cloud Pak license, that comes packaged along with the OpenShift container platform, and you have entitlement to run as much based on the sizing and the capacity that you purchase for. You will have it included within your Cloud Pak license. So you really necessarily do not have to have a separate agreement with Red Hat for the OpenShift part of it. The support also works the same way, right? So if you're running, for example, the IBM Cloud Pak for application, and you're running a WebSphere workload on top of OpenShift, and if there is an issue or a support ticket raised, there's only one ticket that will go to IBM, and even if it's an OpenShift problem, IBM in the backend will work with the Red Hat team to resolve your query. So you don't necessarily have to work with 2 different vendors.
Thanks, Seema.
Yeah.
Now, Shrikant wants to know one more thing. Like he is asking, what about Oracle Cloud? Will this pack support Oracle Cloud as well?
Yeah, so you would not have seen Oracle Cloud listed out there, right? So we haven't officially or formally tested it on Oracle Cloud. So that's something which we will need to take on a case-to-case basis. But yeah, as of now, it's not part of the official supported platforms as far as
I would request our attendees to raise hand so that they can ask questions directly to Seema. We would be happy to answer any other query. Meanwhile, Seema, there's one more question here from Dr. Rizwan Ahmed. He wants to know what approach IBM recommends for load balancing global enterprise web app spanning multiple geographies.
Load balancing global enterprise web app spanning multiple geographies. So, okay, so load, again, so if you're really, it depends, right? So if you're really talking about a public cloud-based environments, right? So all the public clouds, including the IBM Cloud, has the right set of load balancers and the workload management logic out there to help you load balance. But if you're really talking about, a containerized infrastructure, which again where you have the container spawned across multiple geographies, you would be dependent not only on the container management software, but also the hardware, right? The load balancer hardware. So that needs to be designed based on the kind of application, the load characteristics, and because you really do not want to introduce a lot of latency by sending the workload to multiple different geographies. There needs to be some stickiness, right, in terms of where it is, where the request is coming from, and thereby you do a redirection to the more local data center rather than the remote data center. So this is something that is designed and architected on the public cloud infrastructure.
Thanks, Seema, for that. So another question, it's how does IBM takes care if data localization aspect, the data localization aspect in Indian context?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, right, the IBM public cloud was one of the first cloud providers to be certified for Hyperdata Protect and GDPR compliance. So we've already gone through the entire GDPR regulation from a European Union standpoint. From a India standpoint, right, while we do not have in the sense, we do not have the regulation completely out there. If we are aware of what are the client's requirements in terms of data residency, we can ensure that it's architected in such a way that all the services are consumed based out of the cloud data center in India, which is in Chennai. So that's something which we need to know what are the requirements, and obviously data protection is a very important aspect of designing for them.
Thanks, Seema, for that. Next, Vimal Puri, he wants to know which country DR is hosted.
Okay, so there are multiple options, right, across AP. So it can be, depending on, could be within India. We could actually look at a different managed data center of IBM, or if it is outside India, it could be Singapore, Hong Kong, could be Australia, depends.
So, Naveen, is there anybody like who is raising hand? If you can just help me spot. Another question for you, Seema. How to check IBM cloud pricing to compare with other clouds? So I think pricing is an important point
Yeah, so
always.
pricing,
Yeah.
in fact, so if you open up an account, so at least from a public cloud standpoint, right? So if you open a trial account today on the IBM Cloud, public cloud, cloud.ibm.com, and you choose the kind of service and infrastructure, it has a very nice calculator depending on what you need. It gives you the prices are all out there for a public cloud perspective. On some of the private cloud and the private software, we will of course need to work with you on a one-to-one basis, understand your sizing, and work on the price.
Thanks. So there's one hand raising, like I could spot. Naveen, can you please unmute Vishwanathan? Vishwanathan is raising his hand. Yeah,
Hi,
Vishwanathan.
this is
Yeah, hi.
this is Balaji here. So, what is the unique selling point from IBM Cloud Pak perspective when compared to other competitors like Azure, AWS, etc.? And what would be the operational efficiency I can get on implementing the Cloud Pak?
Can you repeat the last sentence? What is the operational efficiency?
So, what is the operational efficiency we can get on implementing this Cloud Pak?
On implementing the Cloud Pak. Okay. So, unique differentiator compared to others, right? So first and foremost, it is infrastructure agnostic. As I said, it's not based on any proprietary cloud technologies or standards per se. It's based on OpenShift, and hence it can run across multiple cloud environments. That's number one. The second one is you have pre-packaged containerized software, right, to power really enterprise workloads. So I'm talking about enterprise workloads related to integration, related to application, related to data, so on and so forth. So where we have gone through the entire process, right, of certifying them to run on Red Hat OpenShift, to certifying them to run on container platform, and then you have, so that basically reduces your efforts and your time to market, right? Your development costs, your testing costs, your integration costs, all of that is significantly reduced from an operational standpoint when you choose the relevant cloud pack. So I really spoke about today 5 cloud packs, right? But what you really will want to look at it deeper is which one is most relevant to you, okay? Because today you may be dealing with, for example, an integration problem, then you just need to look at what the integration pack gives you. You may be dealing with the need to release at a very rapid pace newer applications, newer features, being relevant to your maybe digital customers, having giving them the flexibility to offer, so on and so forth. Then you may want to look at the cloud pack for applications because it gives you that entire DevOps, the application, development landscape, the middleware, or so on and so forth. So depending on the use case and the entry point, one or maybe one or more cloud packs will be relevant to you. But to summarize on the differentiators, I would say it is, the flexibility in terms of platforms, the fact that most of it is based on open standards and open technologies, and the fact that it is all certified by IBM and Red Hat, right? So those are the
Okay, so each data pack is licensed, or this comes with a
each pack separate license, license separate.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. So there are a couple of questions coming again. Any specific tools are provided by IBM to support DevOps? The question is being
Yeah.
asked by this. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah. So the IBM Cloud Pak for application, it consists of, so internally it uses a bunch of open source tools and technologies. So it uses Cabanero Enterprise, for example, to give enterprise developers the platform and the paths, right, to choose a relevant set of open source frameworks, so on and so forth, to build their applications. We also have an add-on to the Cloud Pak for applications for DevOps, where you get, your additional tools, for example, Urban Code and the DevSecOps tools if you really want to do an end-to-end, agile, developer-oriented framework for your organization. And we can share more, deeper details on the DevOps tools around that.
So one more question from Shrikant. He wants to know how to migrate from on-premises to IBM Cloud. Is there any specific tool to migrate?
Yeah, so we do have services. So it depends on what it's a very broad question, right? So it depends on what technologies are you migrating on. Is it a cloud native application? Is it a legacy application? So if you remember, I talked about the advise, build, move, and manage. So we can work with our services team. We have a whole set of migration services offerings, and we can consult and discover what you have and help you carry out the migration to any cloud for that matter, not just IBM Cloud.
Thanks, Seema. I hope with that we have covered all. Okay, one more question for you, Seema. So, is it possible to move whole VM environment replica to hybrid cloud with different platforms like AIX, Windows, Linux, and Citrix, etc.?
Yeah, so if you remember in my chart when I talked about the wave one, chapter one, it was all about that. It was about lifting and shifting, right? Your VM applications as is into a public cloud. And on the IBM Cloud, we have a very strong VMware-based, managed infrastructure, which helps you do that very effectively. So yes, the answer.
Great. I hope with that we have covered all the questions. But meanwhile, I would request Naveen if we can spot few more. Like, are there any other question, Naveen? I
No,
hope I have spelled out all.
So any free trainings provided by IBM on this Cloud Pak?
Yeah. So in terms of training, so we have for developers, right? So if it's a development team, an engineering team, we do a lot of developer-focused events and workshops. So if there is any specific requirement, we can look at that, which is free of charge. There is a lot of online content. There is a lot of digital learning out there, and we'll be running several webinars such as these to help.
Great. I think that we have covered almost all the questions. Keeping in mind the paucity of time and a hard stop we have to close this. But I would request our attendees to get in touch with Seema and follow her. If they have any query, they can always reach out to her and they can ask their questions there. Okay. Yeah. So thank you, Seema, for joining us today.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Krishna. This is a good experience for me as well, and I'm hoping that I receive some specific questions and follow-ups from everyone who's attended here. And I'm accessible on LinkedIn, Twitter. Feel free, as well as email. Feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Thanks, Seema. We have learned about IBM Cloud Paks here, but any final word, Seema, would you like to give us today? Like the key takeaway from today's webinar?
So I would say, Krishna, I think this was a great way for us to start the conversation, right? And we really introduced the new concept of Cloud Paks, how it's going to help you accelerate your journey to cloud. And for each organization, it will be the journey will have a certain customized way of going forward. We need to continue the conversation, so please come back to us with what you're seeing in your environment, which ones are more relevant to you, and if we need to deep dive on any of these specific topics, we can get the relevant experts to help you through that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Seema. There is no end of this road. We should keep on learning and updating ourselves. Thank you so much once again for joining us and for that power-packed presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. On behalf of the Economic Times, I would like to thank all the participants for joining this webinar. Once you log off, automatically a window will open to capture your feedback. Your feedback is very important for us. Please fill in the feedback form in as detailed manner as possible. Thank you once again for joining the Economic Times live webinar powered by IBM. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.